you so much for joining me back here. Today I want to talk about a specific series and I want to give my midway thoughts. Today we're going to talk about Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. I feel like most people enjoy ACOTAR better, and they kind of say that it's because it was written after this one, which is fair. Good, fine, whatever. There are things I like better about ACOTAR, there are things I like better about Throne of Glass. Today we're just going to talk about Throne of Glass, and I'm going to give my midway thoughts. So I have read the first 4 books, so I'm halfway through the series. So today I'm going to go through and I'm going to talk about each book, what I liked, what I disliked, all that kind of stuff. I should mention, there will be spoilers. I'm going to talk freely about these books, so if you plan on reading these books, if you want to still read these books and you haven't yet, and you don't want spoilers, maybe don't watch this video. Alright, let's get into it. First up I have Throne of Glass. First impression, first thing I'm going to say, a little disappointed. Was probably my least favorite in the series so far. I didn't care much for it, and I actually thought about DNFing it. I just was not enjoying it really at all. And people kept telling me, you know, just push through it. The series gets better after that one, blah, 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 blah. So I trusted you guys, and I pushed through it, and I didn't DNF it, and I'm glad I didn't. But I did think about it. The biggest thing I didn't like about it was the plot. In this book, Celaena, sorry, I'm trying to think what her name was in this book. Celaena, you know, is in the prison, and she is taken by Dorian to kind of be his champion, to compete in a competition, to become the king's champion. So she's basically in a competition this whole book, and it's just a lot of training, a lot of her trying to figure out her different competitors, making allies, really just introducing the main characters, Dorian and, oh, not Gray. I just finished reading A Curse So Dark and Lonely. What's his name? Chaol, that's his name. Introducing those characters, that kind of stuff. Overall, the plot was boring to me, if I'm being honest. I didn't care much for it. It's just an assassin competition, pretty much. Whatever. With that being said, Celaena is supposed to be one of the best assassins in the land. She's supposed to be top tier. She's supposed to be so talented and skilled and that kind of stuff. And she bragged about it throughout the whole book. And I felt like we never really got to see it in action. So I felt like she was just a lot of talk with no bite type thing. You know what I'm saying? So I did not like her character in the first book. I have since progressed to like it a little bit more. I'll talk about that as I continue to talk about the books. But in this book specifically, I just felt like she was all talk and was kind of annoying. Chaol was probably my favorite part of the first book. His character in general, I find interesting. I just enjoy it. I know a lot of people hate on him. He gets a lot of hate. So far, I don't really see why. I enjoy his character, and he was my favorite part of the first book. Last thing I want to say is the romance in this book was just kind of bleh. I didn't care much for the whole romance between Celaena and Dorian. I thought they were better off as friends, and I felt like it was, from my perspective reading it, it seemed like it was just put in there as just like a filler romance, just for romance's sake, and I didn't care much for it. It was whatever. Moving on, Crown of Midnight, book number 2. First of all, I thought it was better than the first book, mostly because I enjoyed the plot more. The plot progresses. Now she's actually the king's champion. She won the assassin competition. Surprise, surprise, right? So I enjoyed the plot a lot more in the second one than the first one. So I enjoyed the book more than the first one. I also felt like the issue I had with the first one in Celaena being all talk was resolved a little bit more in this one. You see a little bit more action. She kind of backs up her statements a little bit more in this one, which I liked more as well. I also liked the relationship between Celaena and Chaol. To me, it's a bummer how things turned out. I liked their relationship a lot more than Celaena's and Dorian's. That's not to say I don't dislike Rowan, who we'll get to in a minute. But I did like Chaol in her relationship. I thought they fit well together, in all honesty. I understand why they didn't work out, of course. But in the moment, I really enjoyed their relationship a lot more than the romance in the first book. With the first book, I also said it, I didn't get why people hated on Chaol as much. You kind of see it a little bit in this one, but I just want to say that I personally think he's just a product of his environment. Wherever he's placed, he's at this point, he's just a product of his environment. And later on, he works to fix that. So I feel like he kind of redeems himself a little bit. I'm not saying that as like an excuse for his actions in this book, but I understand where he's coming from. I kind of saw his perspective a little bit. A lot happens in this book, and especially towards the end. I felt the very end was kind of climactic. There's Nehemiah's death. She turns into a fae. You kind of discover that Celaena is a fae. She kills Archer. She's sent away. Chaol sends her away. A whole lot happens in this book, especially towards the end. So maybe there's a little bit of a lull at the beginning, but once you hit the end, I felt myself wanting to find out what was going to happen. So I did enjoy that. Next up, we have Heir of Fire, book number 3. Again, enjoyed it even more than the second one. I find myself enjoying the series a little bit more each time I read the book. They're just long. They're kind of a commitment. So it takes me a little bit to get through each one. I will say, even though I enjoyed this one a little bit more, the beginning is kind of boring. Her name is now Aelin now, because we discover she is pretty much a fae princess person. So she's not Celaena anymore. She is now Aelin. And in the beginning, she's just kind of sitting around a town, kind of trying to figure out what to do. And then Rowan finds her and takes her up to like the fortress or whatever it is. I just felt like the beginning of this book was Aelin complaining a lot, and just kind of a lot of lull moments where they were just traveling type stuff. And there was a lot of training in there as well. So I don't know, the beginning of this one was kind of boring to me. I get it, considering everything she's been through. She kind of needed time to process that. From a realistic standpoint, she did need time to process that. But as a reader, it was a bit boring to read, if that makes sense. In terms of Rowan's character, I do like his character more as the story progresses. Of course, he starts out as that typical, like, hard-hearted guy, right? And he still is, to an extent, at the point I'm at in the story. That's just who he is. Right? But I do enjoy his character more as the series progresses and as he opens up more to Aelin and all that kind of stuff. But at the beginning, I was kind of just like, we've seen this before, right? We've seen his kind of character before. Manon is also introduced in this story, in this book. I have mixed feelings about her. So she's a witch who is the heir to one of the witch clans. And she's supposed to be very beautiful. She's supposed to be this amazing fighter. She's like the head dog, right? And at first, I really enjoyed her sections. I thought they were really interesting. They were kind of a break from the monotony of Aelin and Rowan. And I like her character overall, but as the story progressed, I found myself becoming more interested in Aelin and Rowan's relationship instead of what was going on with her. So anytime I would come to a Manon chapter, I would just kind of not want to read it. And then that's why it took me so long to get through these books. Because I don't know, I would come to her chapter and I'd be like, man, it's a Manon chapter. So I would put the book down and go do something else. And it kind of put me in a little bit of a lull. I don't know. Sometimes I'm excited for her chapters. A majority of the time, I just want to go ahead and get through them so I can get to the other stuff, unfortunately. With that being said, the next book is, what is it? Queen of Shadows. This is the last book I'm going to talk about because this is the last one I've read so far in the series. Manon's chapters in this book are a lot more interesting, I think. And in this one, their paths cross. So the two stories that we've been following, Manon's story and Aelin's story, there's a trash truck outside, if you heard that. Even though it's not trash day. Trash day was yesterday. Anyways, those two storylines that we've been following since the third book collide and come together, which I really enjoyed. I did enjoy Manon's story a lot more in this story, in this book. A lot more happens. Her character development is a lot more interesting in this book. You actually see her character grow. You see the internal struggle that she's having in terms of who she's expected to be and who she really is. I like the thing with the, what are they called? The wyverns, whatever they're called. The dragon things. Those were interesting. I'm excited to see, hi Ghost, your paws are so loud. I'm excited to see how her relationship with Dorian turns out. There's something going on with her and Dorian, and I'm excited to see how it turns out. Overall, the plot of this book was really interesting to me. Them just trying to basically take the kingdom back and get Dorian back, and Chaol's development. Aelin trying to claim her city back, and now they're going back to her home country. Overall, this one was the most enjoyable for me, and I found myself wanting to read this one more so than the other three. I also really liked Aelin's cousin, whatever his name is. I can't remember him right now. I liked him. I thought he was an interesting character. Their relationship to me seemed a little weird, borderline incestual. I'm glad it didn't turn out that way. I'm glad she's still with Rowan. I'll just say that. I thought what happens with Chaol was interesting at the end. Overall, just an interesting book to me. I enjoyed this one. Am I excited to get to Empire of Storms? Not particularly. This book right now is kind of just Pet and Ghost. But this series to me, it's kind of just a I'll get to it when I get to it series. I'm not finding myself itching to read the next book. The plot itself is interesting to me. I don't know what it is. I guess they're just so long that I know it's going to take me forever to get through one. And I get bored staying in the same story for that length of time. At least this story. Other series are not like that for me, but this one particularly, I just find myself getting bored if I spend too long in it. That's why I'm kind of taking breaks in between each book. That being said, I need to go ahead and read Empire Storms before I forget everything that's happened up until this point, but that's for another day. Anyways, those are my thoughts on Throne of Glass so far. I'm halfway through the series. Hopefully, I will finish the series this year and I can just do a sum up, just a sum of all of my feelings concerning the whole series. Hopefully that will be a video I make at some point this year. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe down below and leave a comment. Let me know if you've read the series before. Let me know your thoughts. If you agree with me, if you disagree. I know some of my friends like the first book more than the rest of the series, which is awesome. It's not for everybody, right? It's not for me. It might be for you. The rest of the series is not for everybody. It's for me though. So anyways, just let me know your thoughts. Let me know how you thought about it. Let me know if the last couple of books are just as good as the second three. The second half. I don't know how you would say that. The second, third, and fourth one. Because I enjoyed those. Let me know. Am I going to enjoy the rest of the series or am I going to get bored? You guys are awesome. I am so thankful for you. And we'll meet back here next time, guys. See ya! You say see ya? Or you just want attention or do you need out? Oh, you want to shake? Thank you. Hey, excuse you. You've been outside in the mud today. Get down.